Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're really embarking on an incredible intellectual journey, taking a dive into Alexis de Tocqueville's monumental work, Democracy in America.
It really is monumental.
It is. And this isn't just, some dusty historical text. It's this profound, almost prophetic observation of a young nation that, well, it still offers startling insights into democratic societies today.
Absolutely.
It's still so relevant.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're drawing directly from various excerpts of the book itself. We've got Tocqueville's own insightful notes, the chronology by Olivier Zenz, and of course the chapters, from his philosophical method to the influence of democracy on American sentiments, institutions, the whole lot.
Right.
Our mission, basically to extract the absolute key insights, maybe uncover some surprising facts, and help you quickly grasp why this 19th century look at America is, well, still incredibly relevant for understanding our modern world.
And what's truly fascinating right from the outset is Tocqueville's stated purpose for democracy in America. He made it explicitly clear, didn't he?
He did. That he had no intention of serving or opposing any party. His aim, he said, was simply to see further, to think about the future rather than just tomorrow only.
That sets a unique tone immediately.
It really does. A kind of detached observation. And his methodology, it backs this up. He sought out the best informed people, forming his conclusions not just on single anecdotes, but on all the testimony taken together.
Which is crucial.
It is. And he even recorded information confidentially. He wanted to protect his hosts, which, likely ensures the candor, the unfiltered nature of what he heard. It gives the whole work this rare firsthand authority that really stands out.
Yeah, that foundation of, let's say, impartial, deeply researched observation is so critical, especially when you get to his central thesis about American society. Tocqueville declared this equality of conditions as a providential fact. He writes, and it's quite a powerful statement, that the gradual development of the equality of conditions is therefore a providential fact. He goes on, it has the essential characteristics of one. It is universal, durable, and daily proves itself to be beyond the reach of man's powers. But think about that. He's saying equality isn't just a trend, it's this unstoppable, almost divinely ordained force.
It's a huge claim.
A huge claim. And he contrasts it so sharply with France, where this same social revolution, in his words, was haphazard, abandoned to its savage instincts, growing up like those children deprived of parental care who raise themselves in the streets of our cities and who know nothing of society but its vices and miseries. That's a pretty stark comparison he's drawing there, wouldn't you say?
It absolutely is. And it really underscores his belief that America offered this unique laboratory for watching this phenomenon unfold.
Right.
He strongly emphasizes what he calls the point of departure for Anglo-Americans. He saw America as the only country in which it has been possible to perceive clearly the point of departure of a great people.
Like a unique window.
Exactly. For him, it was like a torch our fathers lacked to really understand those first causes. And he notes the early immigrants, they were largely not the happy and powerful, right? He points out that poverty, together with misfortune, is the best guarantee we know of equality among men.
Interesting perspective. Shared struggle fostering equality.
Precisely. This shared struggle, in his view, fostered a different kind of society, and he also highlights how the refractory soil of America was implacably hostile to landed aristocracy. This meant land got divided into small holdings.
Which is critical because,
as he puts it, aristocracy is rooted in the soil. No large estates, harder for an aristocracy to take hold. And then specifically in New England, he saw this intimate union of spirit of religion and spirit of liberty.
Ah, that famous pairing.
He even quotes a law on public education from back then. Satan, the enemy of the human race, finds his most powerful weapons in the ignorance of men. Strong stuff.
Very strong. So what does this all add up to? How do these foundational elements, these starting points, really set America apart from Europe, where, absolute monarchy stood in triumph?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests America had this unique, less burdened blueprint from the very beginning.
Okay, so with that foundation, that unique point of departure understood, Tocqueville then looks at how this young nation actually governed itself, the architecture of self-rule.
Right, the mechanics.
And one of the most unique things he spots is the administrative structure. He details how the local community was organized before the county before the state, and the state before the union. It's this bottom-up approach, almost organic, it seems.
Very much so.
He shows how local independence really thrives. Town offices are extremely numerous and their responsibilities minutely divided. Voters are constantly being summoned for actual acts of government.
Yep, active participation.
Exactly. This is why, he says, the New Englander is attached to his town because it is strong and independent. He takes an interest in it because he helps direct its affairs. He has this beautiful analogy, too. Local institutions are to liberty what elementary schools are to knowledge. They bring it within reach of the people.
It's like democracy in practice, right? Learning by doing.
Exactly. And that observation about local power, it sort of sets the stage for one of his really key distinctions. The difference between administrative and governmental centralization.
Okay, break that down.
So, Tocqueville observed that administrative centralization does not exist in the United States. There's almost no trace of hierarchy, he says. Decentralization has been carried to a degree that I believe no European nation could tolerate.
Meaning no top-down control of local day-to-day stuff. Precisely. No state officials telling towns exactly how to pave their roads, like in France. But, and this is the flip side, he argues that in the United States, there is a high degree of governmental centralization. He claims it'd be easy to prove that state power there is more concentrated than it was in any of Europe's old monarchies.
So, local control over local things, but strong central laws and policies.
You got it. Local communities manage daily affairs, but the big rules, the core laws, they come from a strong central state government. And he notes that courts play a huge role in maintaining order here, like compelling towns to pay taxes through fines if they resist.
The judicial angle.
Yes, he even points out that administrative orders are almost always veiled as judicial writs, which kind of paradoxically makes them more powerful.
Sneaky powerful.
In a way. And when he looks at the federal judiciary, he acknowledges Americans have thus entrusted their courts with immense political power. But he sees a check on this power, which they attack laws only by judicial means, usually in some obscure debate and with some particular application in mind. This partially conceals the importance of his attack from the public eye. It's not grand pronouncements, but specific case law.
More subtle.
Right. And he really credits the wisdom of federal lawmakers for the strength of the federal Constitution. He notes they grew up in a social crisis and dared to propose limiting liberty because they actually felt in the bottom of their hearts a sincere and ardent love for it. It wasn't just theory, it was pragmatic love.
That distinction, administrative versus governmental centralization, that feels really key to grasping the American system he saw. Okay, so we've looked at the foundations, the structures. Where did Tocqueville go next? What about the people themselves, the democratic spirit? Was he optimistic there?
That's a fantastic question because actually he expresses some really interesting skepticism. Yeah, he challenges the idea that universal suffrage automatically gets you the most outstanding men in charge. He was surprised, he says, to find how common talent was among the governed and how rare in government.
Ouch.
Yeah. He even noted that the race of American statesmen has singularly shrunk in stature over just half a century. That's quite a critique.
It really is. What about things like corruption?
He addresses that too. He suggests that in democracies, statesmen are poor and have their fortunes to make. But the real problem, he argues, isn't just simple immorality. It's immorality leading to greatness.
What does he mean by that?
He means it creates this odious mingling of the ideas of baseness and power, unworthiness and success, utility and dishonor. It's this uncomfortable truth, maybe timeless, that the pursuit of power in a democracy can blur ethical lines. Moral compromise might even get rewarded.
Sobering thought.
It is. And he also focuses in on the American passion for material well-being. He calls it the dominant passion of Americans. But interestingly, he thinks it also makes them grave and almost sad, even in their pleasures. Always worried, always fearing, not having chosen the shortest way to get more.
Wow, grave and sad. That's a surprising take on a nation seen as so, optimistic and forward-looking, almost like the pursuit itself was a burden.
It seems that way in his observation.
So how did he see this restless drives, this potential downside, being mitigated? Did America have any counterweights in its system or culture?
Oh, absolutely. He saw several. He introduces this concept of self-interest, properly understood. He notes it is not a very lofty doctrine, but it is a clear and reliable one. Meaning Americans, he says, will obligingly demonstrate how enlightened love of themselves regularly leads them to help one another out. It's not pure altruism, maybe, but this clear-eyed view that helping your community ultimately helps you.
Pragmatic self-interest leading to civic good.
Exactly. And this naturally leads into associations, a huge theme for him, right? No country in the world, he says, has made better use of association than the United States.
People joining groups for everything.
For everything. And he sees associations, and crucially newspapers, as the only way to do this regularly and conveniently. He even argues that a newspaper maintains civilization. It connects people, spreads ideas.
Interesting link between press and association.
Very. He also identifies the legal spirit as another powerful counterweight to, let's say, the more impulsive side of democracy. Lawyers, he observes, have these certain habits of order, a taste for forms, and a sort of instinctive love of regular sequence and ideas.
Orderly minds.
That naturally foster in them a strong opposition to the revolutionary spirit and the unthinking passions of democracy. He actually calls them a privileged class among the intelligent.
Wow, lawyers as a privileged class.
In the jury system, for him, that's one of the most effective means available to society for educating the people. He sees the jury and lawyers, the bar and the bench, as the American aristocracy.
An aristocracy and a democracy. How does that work?
Well, they serve as the only aristocratic body capable of moderating the people's impulses, in his view. It's about reasoned judgment, process, and tempering popular passion. And on honor and democracy, he notes it's less bizarre and less numerous, maybe more obscure than in aristocratic societies. But crucially, in America, public opinion is particularly harsh on bad morals because that would distract the human spirit from the pursuit of well-being. Morality serves practicality in a way.
That's a really fascinating redefinition of aristocracy, seeing lawyers and juries as the kind of moderating force. Okay, now, we have to touch on a more difficult but absolutely essential part of Tocqueville's observations in democracy in America, his views on race.
Yes, unavoidable and deeply troubling.
He really unflinchingly recounts what he saw regarding Native Americans. He observes them being pursued by famine, by war, their customs lost, leading to, well, dissolution. And his observation here is just chillingly pragmatic. He writes, strictly speaking, that it is not Europeans who are driving out the Native Americans, it is famine. This felicitous distinction, unknown to the casuists of old, those who analyze ethical cases, is a discovery of modern scholars. And he tackles slavery head-on. He notes that while Christianity had destroyed servitude, the Christians of the 16th century reinstated it. He points directly to the enduring, deep-seated prejudices of the master, the prejudice of race and the prejudice of the white man.
He doesn't shy away from the hypocrisy.
Not at all. He uses the economic contrast between Ohio, a free state, and Kentucky, a slave state, to make his point. He says that servitude so cruel to the slave was also fatal to the master. It harmed everyone involved.
An economic argument against it, too.
Right. And his assessment of the future for the black population in America is, well, it's incredibly bleak. He writes, the Negro race will never quit the shores of the American continent. It will disappear from the New World only if it ceases to exist. It's crucial, we stress again. He's reporting what he observed and how he interpreted the situation in the early 1800s. We're not endorsing these 19th century views.
Absolutely critical distinction. And these observations on the deep racial divisions, they lead directly into his anxieties about the Union's future.
He saw it as fragile.
Very fragile. He felt the preponderance of force really lay with the individual states, and people's patriotism was often more attached to their state than the Union as a whole.
But he must have seen things holding it together, too.
He did. He identified key forces, the value of unity for resisting foreigners, the simple fact there were no physical barriers between states, and maybe most importantly, the intertwined material interests. The South needing northern commerce, the West needing access routes, that sort of thing.
Economic glue.
Pretty much. He also mentions the nullification doctrine, this idea that a state could just invalidate federal laws. It had resurfaced in the South and was a direct threat to the Union's authority.
A real flashpoint.
Definitely. And it's fascinating how he notes this paradoxical weakening of the presidency, even under a strong personality like Andrew Jackson. He writes, General Jackson's power is increasing steadily, but that of the president is diminishing.
Meaning the man was powerful, but the office was getting weaker.
Exactly. More beholden to public opinion, election cycles, less independent authority. And lastly, he really underscores the vital role of religion. He says, Americans so completely confound Christianity with liberty that it is almost impossible to induce them to think of one without the other.
A tight connection.
Extremely tight. But he admires that clergymen generally stay out of public affairs. He thinks they believed that when a religion enters into such an alliance, it makes the same mistake that a man won't make. It sacrifices the future for the sake of the present.
Short-term gain, long-term loss.
And in obtaining a power to which it is not entitled, It risks forfeiting its legitimate power. Keep religions separate from direct political power to preserve its moral authority. And the bigger implication, if you connect the dots, is profound. Tocqueville hints that if faith disappears, well, then men must serve. They'll need some other master.
Wow. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America, it's just so clear his purpose was incredibly ambitious. He wanted to show, by using America as an example, that laws and above all mores could allow a democratic people to remain free.
A demonstration project, in a way.
Right. But he wasn't prescribing America as the only model, was he? He offers this nuanced perspective, explicitly stating he doesn't believe that every people whose social state is democratic ought to mimic the mores of the Americans.
No copy-pasting democracy.
Exactly. Because liberty were obliged to exhibit identical features wherever it manifests itself. He got that each nation's context, its own point of departure as he called it, would shape its democratic path differently.
Which leads us to a really important question for us today, doesn't it? Tocqueville's insights, written almost 2 centuries ago, they just keep resonating with this startling relevance.
They really do.
I mean, consider his profound warning about the omnipotence of the majority. He saw that as the greatest danger. He argued it may drive minorities to despair and force them to resort to physical force.
Tyranny of the majority leading to violence.
Exactly. He feared it could ultimately lead to anarchy that will come as a consequence of despotism. It's a cycle. And he consistently pushed his readers, and by extension us, to reflect on this fundamental choice for democratic societies.
Which is?
If complete equality were ultimately inevitable, and he seemed to think it was, would it not be better to choose to be leveled by liberty rather than by a despot? That's the core challenge he lays down. And frankly, it feels just as urgent and profound today as it must have back in the 1830s.